My mother passed away 5 years ago after a long battle with cancer. She left me a box of family heirlooms, jewelry, letters, and trinkets she'd saved since she was a child. They weren't worth a fortune, but they were priceless to me emotionally. My wife, Lindsay, never liked my mom. She was always polite to her face, but I could sense the tension whenever they were in the same room. After Mom died, Lindsay barely said a word about her. No condolences, no support. The heirlooms were locked in a small safe in our closet. I showed Lindsay once, told her these things meant the world to me. She nodded, barely looked at them, and went on scrolling through her phone. I didn't think much of it at the time. But in hindsight, that moment feels more like a red flag than anything else. I just assumed she didn't connect emotionally. She wasn't close with her own parents either. Fast forward to last month, Lindsay and I were having money issues. Her hours got cut at work, and we were trying to stay afloat. I offered to take on a second job temporarily, just to get us through. She told me not to, said she'd handle it, maybe sell a few things she didn't need. I didn't ask what. Figured it was clothes or makeup she didn't use anymore. One afternoon, I came home early from work. I was digging in the closet for an old winter coat when I noticed the safe was gone. Not just unlocked, literally gone. I stood there, frozen, staring at the empty space where it used to be. I tore apart the closet, thinking maybe she moved it somewhere else. But no, it was gone. Completely vanished. My heart started pounding. I rushed downstairs and asked Lindsay if she'd moved the safe. She didn't look up from her tablet. Yeah, she said casually. I sold it. I couldn't believe what I'd just heard. Sold it, repeated, feeling the blood drain from my face. You sold my mother's heirlooms? She finally looked up. They were just sitting there collecting dust. We needed money. I thought it made sense. Her tone was so flat, so dismissive, it made me sick. I felt something break inside me. I'd shown her what was in that box, told her how important it was, and she sold it like it was a pair of old shoes. I demanded to know where she sold it. She gave me the name of some pawn shop across town. I got almost $2,000 for it, she said. That covered the mortgage last month. $2,000. That's what my mother's memories were worth to her. $2,000. I didn't say a word. I just grabbed my keys and left. At the pawn shop, I asked about the items. The clerk recognized the description immediately, said most of it was already sold. Only 2 pieces remained, a silver locket and a jade bracelet. I bought them back on the spot. It cost me over $600. The clerk gave me a receipt with the dates and Lindsay's signature. I didn't go home right away. I drove around for hours trying to figure out what to do. I couldn't even cry. I was too angry. That night I slept on the couch. Lindsay didn't say anything about it. She acted like nothing had happened, like everything was fine. Over the next few days, I became cold and distant. She noticed, of course, but kept brushing it off. Tried to act extra affectionate, cooking dinner, watching movies with me. But I wasn't interested. Something had shifted. I felt like I was living with a stranger. I contacted my lawyer quietly, asked what my options were if I decided to separate or file for divorce. It's also called my cousin, a jeweler, to ask about tracking down the missing pieces. She promised to help me. Said some of the more unique items might be traceable if they pop up in auctions or stores. It was a long shot, but it gave me something to focus on. A week later, Lindsay's family invited us over for dinner. It was her sister's birthday, a big family gathering. Normally I'd skip it, but this time I saw an opportunity. I told Lindsay we'd go. She seemed thrilled. Probably thought I was getting over it. She even wore a new dress and did her makeup extra nice. At the dinner, everything seemed normal. Lindsay's dad asked how we were doing financially. She smiled and said we've been getting by. I sold a few things. Everyone nodded approvingly. Her mom said, "That's smart. Better to downsize than struggle." That's when I spoke up. Yeah. She sold my late mother's jewelry without asking me. The table went silent. Lindsay's smile froze. I pulled out the pawn shop receipt. I had to buy back what little was left, I said. The rest, gone forever. Gasps filled the room. Her mom covered her mouth. Her dad looked furious. "You did what?" he asked Lindsay. She started stammering. I thought we needed the money. You sold his mother's things?" Her sister said in disbelief. "Things he told you were important." Her brother-in-law just shook his head. I stood up. I brought what's left with me. Just wanted her family to see the kind of person she's become. I laid the locket and bracelet on the table. Lindsay looked like she wanted to disappear. Her mom was tearing up. Her dad just kept shaking his head in disgust. I left shortly after, didn't even wait for dessert. Lindsay came home an hour later, red-faced, furious. She screamed at me for embarrassing her, said I had no right to humiliate her like that in front of her family. I told her she had no right to sell my mother's things. I said, "You wanted to act like a thief behind closed doors. Fine. But now everyone knows." She stormed into the bedroom, slammed the door. I didn't follow. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of dishes clanking in the kitchen. Lindsay was cooking breakfast like nothing had happened. She acted like pancakes and coffee could erase betrayal. "Want some?" she asked without looking at me. I stared at her blankly. "No." She shrugged and flipped another pancake. She finally sat down at the table, tapping her fingers nervously. "You really humiliated me last night," she said. "I humiliated you," I repeated, voice rising. "You stole from me. From my dead mother." Her eyes flashed with annoyance. "Wasn't stealing. It was helping us survive." "No, Lindsay, it was betrayal. Plain and simple." She dropped her fork. "Fine, I made a mistake, okay? But I did it for us." I crossed my arms. "You did it without asking. That makes it theft, not sacrifice." She didn't respond, just sat there stewing. Over the next few days, we barely spoke. She tried to smooth things over, cooked, cleaned, acted sweet, but I saw through it all. She wasn't sorry. She was embarrassed. Her family began reaching out. Her dad sent me a message saying, "For what it's worth, you did the right thing." Her sister even called to say Lindsay was way out of line. But Lindsay was growing colder. She felt cornered, exposed. The shame was morphing into resentment. She finally lashed out during dinner one night. "This is ridiculous. You're acting like I murdered someone. No, Lindsay. Just killed any trust I had in you." She slammed her fork down. "You're enjoying this. It's making me the villain. I don't have to make you anything. You did that yourself." That night, she packed a small bag and left to stay at her sister's. I didn't stop her. I didn't even ask when she'd be back. I needed space, clarity, peace. I went back to the pawn shop the next morning. Asked the clerk again if any of the sold items could be tracked. He gave me a few names. Small antique dealers who might have purchased them. I made calls, sent emails. Showed photos of the heirlooms to dealers across the city. One of them recognized a pair of sapphire earrings. Said they'd sold 2 weeks ago. The buyer had paid in cash. No contact info. Another dead end. Still, I kept digging. Meanwhile, Lindsay texted me sporadically. "I'm sorry. Can fix this? Can we talk?" I ignored most of them. She wasn't trying to fix anything, just escape consequences. After a week apart, she showed up unannounced. She looked tired, her eyes puffy. "I miss you," she said softly. I didn't answer. She stepped closer. "Can we at least talk?" I motioned toward the couch, keeping my distance. She started crying. "I know I screwed up, but I thought you loved me enough to move past it." I said, "I loved you enough to show you that box. That's what I thought we had." She sobbed harder. I panicked. We were behind on bills. I thought it was just stuff. Looked her dead in the eyes. "You knew better. You just didn't care." She reached into her purse and pulled out a small envelope. "I got a refund from one of the pawn shops. It's not much, but I'm trying." I opened it, $150 in cash. That was it. I nodded, but I wasn't impressed. Trying means telling the truth. "You lied? You sold memories?" She looked away. "I think we need to separate," I finally said, her head jerked up. "What?" "I need time. Space. Trust has to be rebuilt. If that's even possible." She begged me not to. Tried to hug me. I pulled back. "I'm not angry anymore. I'm just tired," I said. She stormed out again. This time, she didn't come back for 2 weeks. In those 2 weeks, peaceful, quiet, clear. During that time, I found a Facebook group for collectors of antique heirlooms. I posted about my mom's missing items, added photos. One user messaged me. Said they'd seen the exact brooch in a consignment shop. I visited the shop. It was my mother's brooch. The shopkeeper remembered the seller, a woman matching Lindsay's description. She had used a different name, but it was her handwriting on the slip. I bought the brooch back for $400, 3 pieces recovered out of 11. Still, it felt like a victory. Took the brooch home and locked it away. Then I sat down and wrote everything. The betrayal, the lies, the receipts, into a document. A file for my lawyer. The next time Lindsay texted, I told her, we need to talk. But not here. I set up a meeting in a public cafe, neutral ground. She arrived looking hopeful. I handed her the document. She opened it, scanned the pages, then looked up confused. She started a separation agreement, I said. I've already spoken with a lawyer. Her mouth fell open. But wait, you said you just needed space. I did, and now I need protection. She was speechless. I explained everything. That the jewelry wasn't just sentimental. It was legally part of my inheritance. Selling it could have legal consequences. I'm not pressing charges, I said. I'm protecting myself. She looked like she wanted to argue. There was nothing to say. She signed the paper quietly, tears streaming down her face. She asked, "Is this really it?" I said, "It doesn't have to be. But this is where it starts." And I walked away. Weeks passed after our separation agreement was signed. Lindsay moved in with her sister permanently. I stayed in the house alone, but at peace. The silence was healing. No fight, no manipulation, no forced small talk. Just me and the space to finally breathe. One morning, a package arrived at my doorstep. No return address, just my name on the front. Inside was a velvet box with another one of my mother's bracelets. There was a sticky note. Found this in my drawer. Sorry. Lindsay, it was something, I guess, but not enough. I reached out to her once. Not to talk, but to send a message. Thanks for the bracelet. The rest, she didn't respond. I figured she was still playing the victim card with her family. But then something strange happened. Her cousin messaged me. "Did Lindsay really sell all that stuff?" she said. "You made it up to get sympathy." I nearly laughed. So that was the new narrative, that I faked everything to make her look bad. Even with the pawn shop receipts, she still denied it. I sent her cousin a few pictures, the receipt, the locket, and the recovered brooch. Her cousin replied, "Damn, she's been lying to everyone. Typical." A few days later, Lindsay texted again. "Hey, my parents want to have dinner with you. Just to clear the air." I agreed. I had nothing to hide. We met at a local Italian restaurant. Her parents looked nervous, but kind. Lindsay, she was all smiles, pretending we were still on good terms. She even tried to reach for my hand under the table. I pulled away, casually sipping my water. Her parents noticed. Her dad leaned forward. "We just want to say we're sorry for everything." Her mom nodded. "Lindsay made a mistake, but she's trying to make it right." Lindsay smiled sweetly. "Tell them about the bracelet, babe." I looked at her, then at her parents. Sure, she returned 1 bracelet out of 11 stolen items. The air at the table shifted. Her dad blinked. "She never told you the full story?" I asked, feigning surprise. Lindsay's smile cracked slightly. I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out printed photos. These are the receipts. Photos of what was sold and what I recovered. I handed them to her parents, who looked stunned. Her mom shook her head. "You said it was just a necklace you accidentally gave away." Lindsay stammered. "Well, yeah, didn't want to upset you." Her dad's voice was cold. "You lied again?" I sat back and let it unfold. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about truth. That dinner ended with Lindsay storming out in tears. Her parents apologized again, said they had no idea how bad it really was. I told them not to worry. I was doing just fine. Over the next week, things got quieter. Lindsay stopped messaging. No more surprises, no more fake apologies. Until one day I got a call from my jeweler cousin. She said one of her contacts found something, an auction listing for a ring. It matched the description of my mom's engagement ring perfectly. I emailed the auction house immediately, explained the situation, included documentation. They agreed to pull the item for review. They asked if I could verify the serial number. I had the appraisal papers from my mom's estate. It was a perfect match. The auction house returned the ring to me. No charge. Another piece of her brought back home. I felt something in my chest loosen. Not closure, not yet, but something close to it. I wore the ring on a chain around my neck for weeks. Then out of nowhere, Lindsay showed up at my door. No warning, no text. Just her, teary-eyed, clutching something in her hand. "I want to return something," she said quietly. It was another piece. A pearl hairpin I hadn't seen in years. One of the last things my mom ever wore in public. "I kept it," Lindsay said. I don't know why. I took it from her gently, because you knew it mattered. She nodded silently. She looked up at me. "I messed up so badly. I didn't disagree," she added. "Can we fix this?" I didn't answer right away. Instead, I invited her in just to talk. For closure. We sat on the couch, and for once, she didn't play the victim. She admitted everything. The lies, the pawn shop, the cover-ups. She even confessed to using a fake name at the consignment shop. She cried. I listened. And then I said, "I appreciate your honesty, but this doesn't fix what's broken." She nodded. "I don't expect you to take me back," she whispered. I didn't want to be remembered only for that mistake." I nodded slowly. "Well, that's up to you, how you choose to move forward." She smiled faintly through her tears. "Thank you." She left quietly. I stood at the door, holding the pearl pin in my hand. I didn't feel victorious, just relieved. That night I opened the safe again, placed the ring, the locket, the bracelet, the brooch, and now the pearl pin inside. Still missing a few, but finally, it didn't feel empty anymore. Weeks passed without a word from Lindsay. No calls, no drama, just quiet. I focused on healing and moving forward. One day, a local antique shop called. They had a pendant with my mom's initials. It was hers, no doubt. I bought it back instantly. That made 6 out of 11 recovered. A small but meaningful victory. Then, a surprise. Lindsay's mother called.
Out.
She asked to meet and brought a small box. "She left this with me," she said. Inside were 3 more pieces. Earrings, a ring, and a locket. All my mom's. My chest tightened. "She wasn't ready to let go, but she is now," her mother said. "She's moving away. It's over." I nodded silently. That night I returned the pieces to the velvet box. 9 of 11 recovered, and that felt like enough. Right. A year later, I gave them to my niece, told her the story, the loss, the betrayal, the meaning. She hugged me and promised to protect it, and I knew she would, because some legacies skip a generation to land in the right hands.